My mom and brother staged a fake party to replace the locks on my home, but what they hid led me to a truth that destroyed everything they'd built. I never imagined a birthday dinner could feel like walking into my own ambush, yet here I am, watching raindrops streak down the cafe windows like tears I refuse to shed. The cozy Portland cafe I rented seems to mock me with its warmth, exposed brick walls and Edison bulbs casting a golden glow that feels nothing like the chill spreading through my chest. "More wine, Mom?" I ask Diane, who sits across from me, her silver-streaked hair perfect even in this humidity, her posture rigid despite the cushioned chairs. "Just half, Alyssa. I'm driving." Her smile doesn't reach her eyes, which assess me like I'm a disappointing investment rather than her daughter turning 30 today. My father, Richard, sits beside her, his attention fixed on his phone, thumbs scrolling through what I assume are stock prices. He's been quiet all evening, looking up only when the waiter brought our entrees, offering a curt nod of approval before retreating back into silence. Evan, my brother, catches my eye and raises his glass. "Happy birthday, sis." His voice carries a forced cheerfulness that makes me wince. His wife, Caroline, touches his arm, her nervous energy filling the awkward pauses with questions about Caleb's kindergarten, my work schedule, the recent rain. Anything to prevent actual conversation. I smile despite the knot in my stomach. I've perfected this smile over 3 decades. It's the smile that says, "See, we're fine. We're a normal family enjoying a normal dinner. Nothing to see here." But we're not fine. We haven't been fine for years. Tonight should be different. My son Caleb is with Samantha, my best friend, giving me a rare night without bedtime stories and superhero pajamas. I should feel lighter, freer. Instead, I feel exposed. "The salmon looks good," Caroline says, gesturing to my barely touched plate. "Is it?" "It's perfect," I lie, taking a bite to prove it. "The food tastes like nothing." I watch my mother glance at her watch, then at Evan. Something unspoken passes between them. The waiter approaches with dessert, a chocolate cake with a single candle. 30 years reduced to one lonely flame. "Make a wish," Caroline says, her smile too bright. I close my eyes, not wishing, just pausing, gathering strength before diving back into the charade. When I open them, my mother is leaning toward Evan, her voice dropping to a whisper she doesn't think I can hear. "Well, everyone's here," she murmurs. "Go change her locks." The words don't register at first, floating in the air like candle smoke. Change her locks? My locks? Evan hesitates, his eyes darting to me before dropping to the tablecloth. Caroline's smile falters as she catches the edge of the exchange, confusion clouding her features. My mother's gaze hardens, steel behind designer frames. "Now, Evan." He nods, a short, defeated gesture that speaks volumes. The knife in my hand suddenly feels heavy as I cut into the chocolate cake, dividing it into perfect portions while my mind races. My apartment, my home. The walls covered in Caleb's crayon masterpieces, the refrigerator plastered, with his school papers, each one held by dinosaur magnets we picked out together. His stuffed T-Rex waiting on his bed, our sanctuary. I force my lips into a smile, passing plates around the table as if nothing happened, as if my mother hadn't just ordered my brother to violate my home while I sit here playing happy family. "Aren't you going to try your cake?" Caroline asks, noticing my untouched dessert. "In a minute," I say, watching Evan stand, mumbling something about a phone call before stepping outside into the rain. The next hour stretches like taffy, sticky and suffocating. I laugh at Dad's rare joke about his golf game. I answer Mom's pointed questions about my promotion prospects. I show Caroline photos of Caleb's school play on my phone, all while my heart hammers against my ribs, counting minutes, wondering if Evan is in my apartment right now, changing the locks, making me a stranger in my own home. Every sip of wine burns my throat. Every forced smile strains my cheeks. I catch myself checking my watch, then the door, then my phone, a circuit of anxiety that no one seems to notice. Finally, after what feels like years, the cafe door opens. Rain blows in with Evan, his hair damp, his complexion ashen. He doesn't meet my eyes as he slides back into his seat. Caroline touches his arm. "Everything okay?" He doesn't answer. His hands tremble slightly as he reaches for his water glass. The cafe falls silent. The warmth that felt false before now feels oppressive, suffocating. My mother's eyes narrow as she studies Evan's face. His silence tells me everything I need to know. Something went wrong, terribly wrong. Have you ever had to pretend everything was fine just to survive a family dinner? That night, I learned that the real danger wasn't from strangers. It was sitting right at my table. Half an hour later, the party disintegrates like wet tissue paper. Dad mumbles something about an early meeting. Mom gives me a cold kiss on the cheek. Evan can't meet my eyes as Caroline shepherds him toward the door. I sit in my car, rain drumming on the roof, knuckles white around the steering wheel. The parking lot has emptied except for my Honda, sitting alone under the sickly yellow glow of a streetlight. My phone buzzes in my purse, the vibration unnaturally loud in the quiet car, unknown caller. My thumb hovers over the screen. The third call in 5 minutes. I finally answer. Miss Moore? The voice is male, professional, detached. This is Officer Ryan Keller, Portland PD. We need you to contact us immediately regarding your apartment. The words hit like ice water. What's happened? There's been an incident. Are you able to return to your residence? I'm on my way. My voice sounds strange, distant, like it belongs to someone else. I drive too fast through rain-slick streets, windshield wipers fighting a losing battle. Every red light is an eternity. Every green, a blur. My thoughts circle like vultures, Caleb's drawings, his dinosaur collection, the photos on the mantle. 3 blocks from my building, I see the flashing lights, blue and red painting my neighborhood in emergency colors. My stomach drops as I turn the corner. 3 police cruisers, their light bars throwing shadows across the brick facade of my apartment building. I park haphazardly, keys still dangling in the ignition, as I run toward the yellow tape that now surrounds my building's entrance. An officer intercepts me. Ma'am, you can't. I live here. 3 billions. Alyssa Moore, Officer Keller called me. He studies my face, then lifts the tape. This way. Officer Keller waits by the building entrance, notebook in hand. He's younger than I expected, maybe mid-30s, with short-cropped hair and tired eyes. Miss Moore? I nod, rain soaking through my jacket. We responded to a call about a break-in at your apartment. The door shows evidence of forced entry, crowbar marks around the lock. Was anything taken? My voice shakes. That's the strange part. Keller flips a page in his notebook. Nothing appears to be missing. No electronics, no valuables. Movement behind him catches my eye. Evan stands in the building's foyer, talking to another officer. When he sees me, his face crumples. He pushes past Keller and grabs my arms. Alyssa, I'm sorry. I came here like Mom said, but the door was already damaged. I panicked and called 911. His confession hangs in the rain between us. The dinner, the whispered order. My brother sent to violate my home. Keller watches our exchange with narrowed eyes. Your brother arrived about 40 minutes ago. He said he was coming to check on your apartment and found the door like this. Yes, I manage, pulling away from Evan's grip. There's one other thing, Keller adds, voice dropping. The suspect tried a key first. It didn't work. Then they used the crowbar. We found small metal filings from the lock cylinder. My blood turns to slush in my veins. The plumbing repair last week. The maintenance man who lingered too long, eyes wandering across my living room. The unease that followed me for days, nagging until I'd finally changed the locks myself 3 days ago. That's why the key failed. This wasn't random. Someone had a key to my apartment, a key that no longer worked. Can I go up? I ask Keller. He nods, gesturing for me to follow him into the building. Evan trails behind us, a ghost in a soaking wet coat. The hallway to my apartment feels endless. Yellow crime scene tape crosses my doorway like a warning. The wood around the lock is splintered and raw, the metal frame bent outward. Keller ducks under the tape, holding it for me to follow. We've processed the scene. Try not to touch anything unnecessary. I step into my apartment, and the wrongness hits me immediately. Everything looks untouched, yet fundamentally violated. The living room furniture sits in perfect order. The kitchen gleams under the overhead lights. My laptop remains on the coffee table where I left it. But when I turn toward the mantel, my heart stops. Every framed photograph, 6 in total, lies face down, precisely placed, like small graves in a row. It wasn't random, I whisper to Keller, who stands watchful by the door. He was sending a message. Every photo shows the same subjects, me and Caleb. I move through the apartment in a daze, cataloging the untouched surfaces, the unopened drawers. In my bedroom, the nightstand drawer hangs partially open. On top sits a plain white envelope that wasn't there this morning. With trembling fingers, I pick it up. Inside is a single sheet of paper with one typed line. Tell your mother the truth always finds its way home. My legs give out and I sink onto the edge of my bed, the note dangling from my fingers. Keller's radio crackles to life. "Keller, copy." He steps into the hallway, voice low, then returns a moment later. His expression is hardened. "They detained a suspect 3 blocks from here. Neil Haskett, former maintenance worker for your building, fired last month." I remember the name tag, the too friendly smile, the lingering gaze. "We found his fingerprints on the back of your picture frames," Keller continues. "And his bank records show a recent deposit, $4,800 transferred yesterday from an account belonging to Diane Moore." He pauses. The memo line said, "Repairs." The room tilts sideways. The whisper at the cafe, the crowbar, the face-down photos of my son, the note, the money. My mother paid someone to break into my home, to get to Caleb. The realization crashes over me like a wave, stealing my breath, leaving me drowning in the truth I've been avoiding for years. My family isn't just controlling, they're dangerous. The night stretches before me, endless and sleepless. Wrapped in a blanket on my couch, I stare at the white envelope, at the single line that refuses to let me rest. Keller's words echo in my head like a broken record. The key that didn't fit, the $4,800 transfer, my mother's name on Neil Haskett's bank statement. What truth? I turn the question over and over, watching shadows play across my living room wall. The apartment feels different now, violated, marked. Even with the new deadbolt I installed after the police left, I can't shake the feeling of vulnerability. My mind races backward, scanning memories, looking for the truth this note demands. Then, like a camera lens suddenly snapping into focus, I land on a specific memory with horrifying clarity. 6 weeks ago, a bright Saturday morning, I'd driven to my parents' house to collect some of Caleb's old clothes from the attic. My father was golfing, and my mother was at her weekly salon appointment, the perfect time to slip in and out without the weight of their expectations. The attic smelled of dust and old memories, cardboard boxes labeled in my mother's precise handwriting, plastic bins of holiday decorations, Evan's baseball trophies. Sunlight streamed through the small round window, illuminating dust motes that danced in the air as I moved toward the corner where my mother stored Caleb's hand-me-downs. That's when I saw a banker's box I'd never noticed before, tucked behind a stack of old tax returns. The label caught my eye. More investments, AM Trust. My initials. I shouldn't have opened it. Something in me knew that. But curiosity pulled me forward. My fingers lifted the lid before I could talk myself out of it. Inside, neatly organized with my mother's characteristic precision, lay a stack of legal documents, property deeds with my name on them for places I'd never seen, bank statements from the Cayman Islands for accounts I'd never opened, and, most disturbing of all, a stack of documents bearing signatures identical to mine, but I'd never signed them. The forgery was perfect. Every loop and curve matched my handwriting exactly. My stomach dropped as I thumbed through page after page, my hands shaking so badly I nearly dropped them. I remember the fear that swept through me, cold and disorienting. Without thinking, I pulled out my phone and photographed every single page, my fingers clumsy with panic. Then I carefully replaced everything exactly as I'd found it, closed the box and left. I told no one, not Samantha, not Officer Keller when he first interviewed me. I buried the memory, told myself I was mistaken, that there must be some explanation. But a week later, the gnawing unease drew me back. I told my parents I'd forgotten a box of Caleb's winter clothes. With my heart hammering against my ribs, I returned to the attic. The banker's box was still there. This time, I didn't just photograph the documents, I took the entire folder, sliding it into my tote bag beneath a layer of children's sweaters. At home, I hid it in the far corner of my closet, behind shoe boxes and old purses, and then I pretended it didn't exist. Until tonight. The realization hits me with stunning clarity at 4 a.m. in my violated apartment. Now I understand, I whisper to the empty room. The break-in wasn't random. It wasn't even primarily meant to intimidate me. It was a retrieval mission. They discovered the folder was missing. My mother hired Neil to get it back, and the changed lock, the one I'd installed myself last week after the plumber left me feeling uneasy, ruined their clean plan. My parents aren't just controlling, they're criminals. They've been laundering money through accounts in my name, using my identity, forging my signature on legal documents. The AM Trust wasn't a gift or an inheritance. It was a liability, a shell to protect them if things went wrong. The fear that has chilled my skin for hours burns away under a new, clarifying anger. Hot, precise, illuminating. They didn't just threaten my home, they used me. They threatened my son. I rise from the couch, letting the blanket fall away. My steps are steady as I walk to my bedroom, open the closet door, and reach past my shoes to the far corner. The folder is there, untouched since the day I hid it. I pull it out, feeling its weight in my hands, physical evidence, the truth that found its way home not to my mother, but to me. For the first time since the police left, I feel something other than fear. I feel powerful. I hold the real keys now, not just to my apartment, but to my future, to justice. I glance at my phone. The screen shows 5:38 a.m. through my blinds. The first hints of dawn lighten the Portland sky, turning the rain clouds from black to deep blue. My fingers don't tremble anymore as I type the text to my mother. Dinner. My place. 7 p.m. No games. I hit send without hesitation. Then I call Samantha. Hey, I say when she answers, her voice groggy with sleep. Can you keep Caleb one more night? Of course, she says, instantly alert. Alyssa, what's going on? I'm taking care of something I should have handled a long time ago. After we hang up, I set the folder on my kitchen table and stare at it. For years, I've been the family peacekeeper, smoothing rough edges, accepting their control to avoid conflict. I've forced smiles through countless dinners, swallowed words that might disrupt the careful facade of normalcy. But peace built on lies isn't really peace. It's just delayed justice. Outside, the sun breaks through the clouds, sending a shaft of morning light across the folder on my table. Soon, Caleb will come home to a mother who isn't afraid anymore, to an apartment that's truly safe because the real threat has been exposed. I open the folder again, spreading the documents across the table like cards in a winning hand. Game over, Mom. The apartment feels different now, cleaner, sharper, like a stage set for the final act. I spend the morning scrubbing surfaces already clean, arranging and rearranging the living room furniture, until everything feels balanced, strategic. The new deadbolt gleams on my door, its brass finish catching the afternoon light, a small victory, a visible statement, no more unauthorized entries. Thanks for keeping Caleb again, I tell Samantha over the phone, lowering my voice even though I'm alone. Just one more night. As long as you need, she answers, concern threading through her words. Are you sure you don't want me there when your mother comes? No, I say, steadier than I feel. This needs to be between us. After hanging up, I take a deep breath and place my smartphone on the kitchen counter, careful to angle it toward the living room. One tap on the audio memo app starts the recording. The small red light blinks once, then settles into a steady glow. Oregon law allows one-party consent for recordings. I memorized this fact last night along with the relevant statute number. No warrant required, no notification necessary. Just one party, me, aware and consenting. At precisely 7 p.m., the knock comes. 3 sharp raps that somehow convey annoyance rather than request. I check the peephole even though I know exactly who stands on the other side. Diane Moore enters my apartment like she's appraising property. Her silk blouse, perfectly pressed slacks, and delicate gold jewelry form armor more effective than Kevlar. She brings with her the scent of expensive perfume. Chanel, her signature for 20 years. Her eyes scan my living room with clinical detachment, looking for weaknesses, for entry points. You shouldn't have called the police, Alyssa, she begins, her voice smooth as river stones. She doesn't sit, doesn't remove her coat. This isn't a visit, it's an intervention. I lean against my kitchen counter, arms folded across my chest. The phone sits behind me, its red light a tiny reassuring heartbeat. You shouldn't have paid someone to break into my apartment. Her face doesn't change, but something flickers in her eyes. Annoyance, perhaps, at my directness. This isn't the script she expected. The daughter who forces smiles and swallows words has vanished. That's not what happened. She sets her purse on my coffee table with deliberate care. I paid Neil for a dishwasher repair you'd been asking for. It was clearly a misunderstanding. The lie slides from her lips with practiced ease. I wonder how many times she's rewritten reality like this, bending truth until it snaps. Was the $4,800 for the dishwasher? I ask, my voice cold. Or for the forged deeds in the AM Trust? The effect is immediate. Her composure cracks like thin ice. Her mouth opens slightly, then closes. Her fingers, usually so controlled, tighten around the strap of her purse until her knuckles pale. What did you say? Her voice drops an octave. The AM Trust, I repeat, savoring each syllable. My initials. Clever. The folder you sent Neil to retrieve. Her eyes dart around my apartment, perhaps searching for the documents, perhaps plotting her next move. The mask slips further. How long have you known? Long enough, I answer. The folder is safe, hidden where she'll never find it, long enough to understand exactly what you and Dad have been doing. For a moment she seems lost, adrift without her script of denial. Then her features harden into something new, something raw and desperate that I've never seen before. I was trying to fix what your father did before it destroyed us, she snaps, her voice stripped of its usual polish. You don't understand what's at stake. You never have. This is the moment, the wronged daughter versus controlling matriarch confrontation I've rehearsed in my mind, but nothing prepared me for the venom in her voice, the wild anger in her eyes. Then explain it to me, I say quietly. Explain why you forged my signature. Explain the Cayman accounts. Explain why you're laundering money through my identity. She paces now, 3 steps one way, 3 steps back, like a caged animal. The perfect posture crumbles. The manicured hands tremble. Your father made investments, risky investments. When they started going bad, he needed to protect our assets. It was temporary. It was fraud, I correct her. An identity theft. It was family, she hisses. Everything we've done has been for this family. Do you think your comfortable childhood paid for itself? Your college education? The help we gave you when Caleb was born? The barb finds its mark. The old guilt. The familiar weight. But this time I don't bend. That doesn't give you the right to steal my identity. Her pacing stops, her eyes narrow, calculating. When she speaks again, her voice has regained some of its control, but underneath runs a current of steel. You will give me that folder, Alyssa. It's not a request. If you don't, I will call child services. I'll tell them this apartment isn't safe. I'll tell them you're unstable. I will ruin your life. Do you understand me? The threat hangs between us, ugly and explicit. My stomach churns, but I remain still, letting her words echo in the silent apartment, letting the recorder capture every syllable. On the counter behind me, the phone screen has gone dark to save battery, but the small red light continues its steady glow, recording everything. The confession to the fraud, the admission of the bribe, and now the explicit, unambiguous threat against my son. Are you threatening me? I ask, making sure her answer will be crystal clear. I'm telling you how things will be, she replies. You've never understood the real world, Alyssa. Actions have consequences. Make the right choice. I look at my mother, really look at her, and see for the first time not the intimidating matriarch of my childhood, but a desperate woman cornered by her own crimes. In her eyes I recognize something I never expected. Fear. I understand consequences perfectly, I say quietly. She misinterprets my calm for surrender. Her shoulders relax slightly. She opens her purse, takes out a business card, and places it on my coffee table. Call this number tomorrow. Tell them you're returning the Moore family documents. She turns toward the door, victory in her stride. This unfortunate episode ends here. I say nothing as she leaves, slamming the door behind her. The deadbolt catches with a satisfying click. Only when her footsteps fade completely do I move to the counter and stop the recording. I play it back once, hearing her threats in her own voice, clear and undeniable. That recording changes everything. Now I have what Officer Keller needs. Now I have the power to end this. Not just the break-in, but the years of manipulation, the identity theft, the threats. I slide down against the kitchen cabinets until I'm sitting on the floor, phone clutched in my hand, listening to the heavy silence of my apartment. For the first time in days, I feel something close to peace. Have you ever been in a situation where you knew you had to gather proof, where you had to let someone reveal their true nature even when every instinct screamed to run? One-party consent recording laws exist for people like me. People trapped by those who rewrite reality with such confidence that you doubt your own memories. Tomorrow, I'll take this recording to Officer Keller. I'll hand over the documents. I'll end this. Tonight, I just breathe. I slide the deadbolt into place with a satisfying click, then press my forehead against the cool wood of the door. The apartment is quiet now, save for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic on the Portland streets below. The silence feels different. Not the hollow emptiness of fear, but the calm clarity of purpose. My hands no longer tremble as I retrieve my phone from the kitchen counter. The red recording light has stopped blinking. I press play, holding my breath as the voices fill the room. You shouldn't have called the police, Alyssa. My mother's voice, smooth as glass. You shouldn't have paid someone to break into my apartment. The exchange continues, building toward the moment that changes everything. I will call child services. I'll tell them this apartment isn't safe. I'll tell them you're unstable. I will ruin your life, Alyssa. Do you understand me? I stop the recording. The fear that paralyzed me earlier has burned away, leaving only steel in its place. For 30 years, I've been the family peacekeeper, the one who smooths things over, who pretends not to hear the whispers. That person died tonight. The clock on the microwave reads 10:38 p.m., late but not too late. I dial Officer Keller's number, my decision already made. He answers on the third ring, his voice alert despite the hour. Keller, Officer Keller, this is Alyssa Moore. I keep my voice steady, professional, I have more. I have the documents and a recording of my mother's full confession. I'm ready to give my statement. A pause. Then his voice sharpens with interest. You recorded a confession? Yes. She admitted to everything, the payment to Neil Haskett, the fraud, the identity theft, and she threatened to call child services if I didn't hand over the evidence. That's serious. His tone becomes grave. Come in first thing in the morning. Don't talk to anyone else about this. Not even family. Especially not family. I won't. Good. Be at the station by 8. Ask for me at the front desk. After hanging up, I make one more call. Samantha answers immediately. Hey, she says, voice thick with concern. How did it go? It went exactly as planned, I tell her, surprising myself with how calm I sound. Is Caleb okay? Sound asleep. He and Tyler built a blanket fort and watched dinosaur documentaries until they crashed. Sam, I need to ask you something. Could you keep him one more night? I want him completely safe until this is over. Of course. No questions, no hesitation. This is what real family looks like. Do what you need to do. We've got him. Thank you. My voice catches. I'll explain everything tomorrow. You don't have to explain anything. Just be careful. I spend the rest of the night organizing everything. The folder from the attic, the photos on my phone, the envelope from Neil Haskett, the recording. Each piece of evidence is a brick in the wall that will finally separate me and Caleb from Diane's control. Sleep doesn't come. I don't seek it. Before dawn breaks over the Portland skyline, I shower, dress in a crisp white blouse and charcoal, pants, and grab a travel mug of coffee. The woman in the hallway mirror looks different somehow, shoulders straight, eyes clear and determined. She looks like someone on a mission. The police station is quiet at 7:45 a.m. The desk sergeant calls Officer Keller, who appears within minutes, a file folder already in hand. Miss Moore, he says with a nod. Follow me. He leads me to a small interview room, functional and bare. The table between us holds a digital recorder and a notepad. Before we start officially, Keller says, show me what you have. I begin with the original folder from the attic, setting it on the table between us. This contains property deeds in my name that I never signed for, Cayman Islands bank statements, tax documents with forged signatures. Next, I unlock my phone and show him the photos, time-stamped from 6 weeks ago. I took these when I first found the documents. The threatening envelope from Neil Haskett follows. This was left in my bedroom after the break-in. Finally, I place my phone on the table and pull up the recording. And this is from last night, my mother confessing to everything. Keller presses play. For the next 11 minutes, we listen in silence. Diane's voice fills the room. First smug, then angry, finally threatening. Her words about child services make Keller's expression harden. When the recording ends, he looks up, meeting my eyes directly. His face, usually professional and neutral, shows a flicker of respect. This is airtight, he says finally. Identity theft, tax evasion, conspiracy, intimidation, child endangerment threats. He reaches for the official recorder. Now, let's get your formal statement. The next hour passes in a blur of questions and answers. I tell Keller everything, from the whisper at the cafe to the discovery in the attic to the confrontation last night. My voice remains steady throughout. When we finish, he walks me to the front of the station. The case will be escalated immediately, he explains. This isn't just a break-in anymore, we're looking at multiple state and federal charges. What happens now, I ask? Now the wheels of justice turn, not as slowly as you might think in cases like this. He hesitates, then adds, you did the right thing. Not many people have the courage to stand against family like this. It doesn't feel like courage, I reply. It feels like survival. Within weeks, the charges are filed. The arrests are quiet. No dramatic door kicking, just officers arriving at my parents' house early one morning with paperwork in hand. The fallout, however, is seismic. The Moore investment scandal hits the local papers, not front-page news, but enough to send ripples through their social circles, their church community, They're business associates. People whisper now about them, not about me. The power dynamics shatter overnight. The controlling matriarch becomes a defendant, sitting small and diminished behind her expensive lawyer in preliminary hearings. I attend each one, not out of vindictiveness, but to witness the truth finally coming to light. The trial itself is a blur of legal procedures, financial experts, and document analysis. My testimony, backed by the recording and the mountains of evidence, is unshakable. My mother's lawyer tries to paint me as a vengeful daughter, but the facts speak for themselves. The forged signatures, the illegal tax shelters, the $4,800 payment to Neil Haskett. I stand in that witness box not as a wronged daughter seeking payback, but as a citizen, a mother protecting her child from people who saw us as nothing more than convenient pawns in their financial games. As I leave the courthouse after my final day of testimony, a reporter calls out, asking how it feels to testify against my own mother. I pause, considering. This isn't about family betrayal, I tell her. It's about justice. It's about truth. Sometimes those things cost more than we expect to pay, but they're always worth the price. The words surprise me. They sound like something a different woman would say. A woman who finally understands that real peace never comes from silence. It comes from truth. The morning sun streams through my kitchen window, painting golden rectangles on the tile floor. 3 months have passed since I stood in that police station, my voice steady as I handed over the evidence that would change everything. Justice, when it finally arrived, came without fanfare. Just a phone call from Keller on a Tuesday afternoon while I was reviewing marketing analytics at work. "It's done," he said, his voice carrying the weight of finality. Richard took a plea deal, 2 years in federal prison for the fraud and tax evasion. I remember setting down my coffee mug, watching the ripples settle on its surface. And my mother? 1 year suspended sentence, 5 years probation. He paused. "And a no-contact order, Alyssa. She can't come near you or Caleb." The words should have felt like victory. Instead, they settled into my bones like truth, solid, immovable, neither happy nor sad, just real. Later that week, an email from Evan appeared in my inbox. The subject line read simply, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Alyssa," he wrote. "I didn't see it until it was too late. I was blind because I needed to be. If you ever find room to forgive me, I'll be waiting. If not, I understand. I haven't answered yet. Some bridges need time before you know if they're worth rebuilding." The strangest part of freedom is how ordinary it feels. The apartment that once felt violated now simply feels like home again. I've painted the living room a soft yellow that reminds me of summer. The photos that were laid face down are back on the walls, joined by new ones. Caleb losing his first tooth, me accepting a promotion at work, the two of us hiking at Forest Park last weekend. What I didn't expect was the pull to help others. The Lock and Key Fund started as a late-night idea, scribbled on the back of a takeout menu. Now it's a registered nonprofit with a small grant and 3 volunteers. We help people trapped by family financial abuse, people whose names have been forged on documents, whose identities have been stolen by those who should have protected them. "You're like a superhero, Mom," Caleb told me last week after overhearing me on a call with a woman who'd been fighting to reclaim her social security number for years. I ruffled his hair, now grown longer than I'd ever let it get before. Small freedoms matter too. Today, Caleb bursts through the door after school, backpack bouncing against his spine. Nearly 7 now, his face glows with the pride of accomplishment. "Look what I got." He thrusts a paper toward me, a gold star gleaming in the corner, for his story about bravery. I examine his careful printing, the wobbly sentences about a boy who saves his dog from a thunderstorm. "It's wonderful, honey." He grabs a magnet from the drawer, a dinosaur chipped from years of use, and carefully positions the paper on the refrigerator. He steps back, examining it with a serious expression that reminds me so much of myself. "Mom," he says suddenly, his voice small but clear, "are we free now?" The question catches me off guard. Children see more than we give them credit for. I crouch down until we're eye level, brushing a strand of hair from his forehead. "Yes, baby," I whisper, pulling him into a hug, kissing the top of his head. We're safe, and that's what freedom really means. After bedtime stories and goodnight kisses, I retrieve the last forged trust document from my desk drawer. The paper feels thin, almost weightless. This single sheet once carried the power to destroy my life. Now it's just evidence. I slip it into a certified envelope addressed to the district attorney's office. Tomorrow, the last physical reminder will be gone. At the corner, I drop the envelope into the blue mailbox, listening for the crisp thunk as it hits the bottom. This ends here, I whisper. Back home, sunlight still lingers in the kitchen despite the late hour, June evening stretching towards summer. I hang my new house key on the small hook by the door, right beside Caleb's gold-starred paper, the symbols of truth and freedom side by side.